very recently, and Krishna, this is an important story because we tracked this story here. It did get a lot of traction online as well. Government banned import or export rather of non-basmati rice to other countries. Now, India continues to be a dominant player as far as rice exports is concerned, holds around 40% of the market share. This move was likely to hurt other economies, but it's done well for India because the domestic prices of white rice have come down and come down significantly, 4,000 rupee a tonne.
Right. Shweta, all this has to be connected in a sense as to what happened with tomatoes. With tomatoes, what happened was that there was lesser sowing. That was the fundamental reason. There's been lesser sowing of tomatoes in this season, which has led to lesser production of tomatoes. And also with monsoons playing havoc, a lot of tomato produce had gone away, which is the reason why you're seeing these insane prices of tomatoes in the Indian market. Now, thankfully, rice was also going in that direction, but thankfully that process has been stopped thanks to some intervention from the government, because there's been rice sowing again has been under duress as far as this year is concerned. So lesser rice is being generated in India, whereas the consumption is not going to go down at all depending upon that generation of rice. So which means that there had to be some intervention in terms of the amount of rice that we're exporting out of India and not keeping in mind the domestic consumption. So clearly the averaging out of rice prices and the fact that they haven't shot through the roof. Rice, such a staple grain across India, north to south, east to west. You cannot possibly have a rice crisis, Shweta. A tomato crisis is bad enough, and then all these vegetables, and you can do away with tomato and even ginger. We've seen ginger prices go up by around 200-300% as well. So you can do away with tomato and ginger, but I don't think India can do away with rice from its thali, from its daily meal. At least one meal of every Indian a day is based on rice. So, there clearly was a requirement for a government intervention, and comes the government intervention, and smartly so. It is the non-basmati rice exports which have been cut down. Bear in mind, a huge amount of Indian consumption of rice is not exactly basmati, because basmati is largely consumed in the north, and in the south and other parts of the country, basmati is used for special occasions, whereas the other versions of rice are the ones that gets consumed on a daily basis. And also, exporting basmati is a great cash cow for India, so we need to continue exporting basmati, huge demand across the world. So smartly, what the government has done is that keep up with the basmati exports, but as far as the non-basmati rice is concerned, keep most of them in India, because we're going to need them, Shweta.
All right, and of course that has resulted in prices of white rice, non-basmati white rice going down, which is good news for a lot of people who were already reeling under pressure, paying through their noses for their humble tomato, and of course for vegetables and fruits and pulses. So staple rice, which as Krishna mentioned, from north to south, at least one meal a day, rice is consumed. It's on the thali, it's on the table. That is likely to come down, if only, of course, if your exporters, your manufacturers decide to pass on that benefit to the end consumer. We will of course have to wait for that.
I think if the government has taken that decision, I think they will ensure the public distribution. And I think the people needed that. Some good news. Like Krishna said, you can do without tomatoes and ginger and coriander. Probably not rice.
Probably not rice. Absolutely.